Hello everyone. So the essay paper has been done and we are taking the topic third of the section B of essay 2023. So the topic is a society that has more justice is a society that needs less charity. So those who have chosen this topic or those of you who will write at home. First, this topic is not the topic in which that political, social, economic approach could be directly used. Secondly, this essay is also not broad in the sense that you can write anything in this because there are so many other topics like the wanderer topic and creativity topic where there are too many dimensions which can be connected in n number of ways. But this essay is a little objective one where you have to focus on the keywords used, that is society, that is justice, and that is charity. So, this topic will be more of argumentations and rather less of examples as per my perspective. Of course, you should include examples here and there and the economic, social, political dimensions also in between. But the focus should be on the argumentation. As the topic is simple, by just reading it, I'm not explaining the topic, but I'm starting with the introduction itself. So, in these type of topics where already a type of comparison is made in the statement, in these type of topics you can use a comparative introduction. So here you can show a state of nature kind of society which was not modern, which was not having the conceptions like justice, equality, and which was being ruled on the might is right principle. In that type of a society, what becomes important is that conventional morality or the religious morality. These two lead us to do justice to other people. So, in this type of society, you can show there was some character, she was being held by somebody out of goodwill. But then you have to show that in this society, even if she is helped, this help in form of charity is momentary. It cannot be demanded. It is requested. The person who asks for it or who requests for it is a passive receiver. The person who gives may die or may not help the next time. Then, against this, you have to show a perspective of a modern society, a society which is based on the modern conceptions of justice. In this society, it could be asked as a right. It is guaranteed by the state. And here, the person who is receiving the benefits as redistributive justice is an active participant. He can also fight for it. So there is a difference between both types of societies and the difference between justice and charity. And what the statement is trying to say, you have to show in the story itself. You will not be directly saying it right now because all those things which I have already stated, then you will also bring those in the main body of the essay. But in introduction also, as you have to cover the whole breadth of what the topic means, that's why you have to include even these little bit of things in your story. Because if you just write a normal story without the mentioning of certain things which the topic demands, then in the introduction itself you are not showing that you have got the topic in its whole breadth. Now, in the main body, you should start with what is actually a society, what is the conception of society. And from here itself, you have to start that society is, it is embodiment of collectivity where we live by interdependence of our choices, of our desires, and sometimes our conflicts as well. And that's why, in this type of interdependence, the importance of justice and importance of charity becomes pivotal. So now you have already told that what is society and why in society we need justice and charity. Then you will begin with the main part of the essay, trying to highlight the difference between justice and charity. Right now, when I will be telling you, it will be more like sort of difference, but then when you have to write, because in essays when we write, the flow which we maintain is the most important. So then you have to use this difference in writing in one go only, not as a difference, but as what the statement of the topic is saying. So here I'm trying to divide this justice and charity for you. So here justice is a modern conception, but charity is more of a traditional conception. Charity follows from the religious morality more, and as also a human morality which we have for each one of us. But justice is a right which can be demanded, but charity is a favor which is requested. Then, justice is guaranteed by the state, but charity is an individual or a group feeling of responsibility. Then, as I already told, that justice is active. Here, the person who is given the benefits can actually fight for it, is able to use it for his further benefits. But justice is, but this charity is very passive. It's like one type of a dole out. Then, as there's not much in these topics, then you have to also include the scholarly views. Here in justice you can include the John Rawls and how has he actually brought the perspective of the most disadvantaged sections in the conception of justice. Then you can bring the difference of the ideas between Ambedkar and Gandhi. Ambedkar, who wanted the constitutional guarantees in form of redistributive justice for the Dalit, for the minorities. On the other hand, was Gandhi, who thought that the goodwill of people will prevail, and what we need is constructive programs. We need to imbibe a sense of duty in our own people. That's what it is. Then in justice you can also include Amartya Sen, because when he gives the equality of capability approach, what justice does is give everyone a capability which he can use lifelong. It will never end. If we give the capability to a Dalit to educate himself, he will be able to stand out, go to Stanford and study, and also make his family rich and prosperous. On the other hand, charity. If we give a Dalit some dole out in form of cash or maybe in form of service, it will not have a permanency. It will end someday and then it will not be follow up. There is no enhancement in his capabilities. So that's why. But then you can also include a different narrative which you can use, like Mahatma Gandhi has also said that when we try to not give the constitutional guarantees but make these uh, this guarantees a sense of duty for the upper caste or for the rich people. What is happening is that they are getting a newer perspective to see Dalits, to see the poor people, and this is bringing a change in their belief system itself. So it may be also long lasting in that perspective. But what happens in justice? Justice is given by state, but we are having a issue of resistance, like resistance for reservations. So that is the thing. You can also highlight this type of contrast. Then, as the statement has already said, a society that has more justice is a society that needs less charity. You can give a little bit economic, social, political examples of this, which I am leaving to you. You can comment in the comment section below of what all you can include. Then some other headings which I think this essay must has, because it should have argumentative inclination. One is why justice is falling, and also there is a question of how much of it. When would states stop? At which point? Because there is no point, because we will keep on increasing our sense of equality then. So, does there is a point where we should stop and where charity should begin, where the state's responsibility overs and the community's responsibility steps in? This type of contrast you can show in your essay. And also why there is so many welfare measures, still we are seeing all over an inequality in terms of wealth, income, capabilities. Why is it that? And why not state is being able to give it, even when we have the greater perspective of justice in place in our constitutions itself in most nations of the world? Then you can actually bring the antithesis, because this what I have talked already is the preface to your antithesis. Why charity is needed even after justice? Because there is a limit to what state can give. Also, there are some exceptional circumstances where justice, which is given in constitutions also, will not come to our rescue. Think of the examples of disasters. There, if we just think about that, yes, a state has guaranteed us justice, that state will protect the interests of the humans, of the citizens, then only state will give them the protection. But that is not true. In disasters, everyone has to come forward. Then what we need is charity, because state has also a limit of its resources. Also, if not limit of resources, how much efficiently it could be mobilized, that is also the thing. So that's why we see when there is any disaster, we need community support, and you can show it through so many examples. Then also why justice, even after justice we need charity, is that justice will take also a little more time to perpetuate to everyone. Until then, what we need is justice, is charity, to provide for those people to whom justice has not yet reached. So justice is sort of our long term objective, and charity is our immediate objective. Immediate objective also as humans, because it enhances our empathy, it enhances our sense of duty towards other humans. Then another perspective and contrast which you can bring is how to actually differentiate between these two, justice or charity. Are they not overlapping? Take for the example the corporate social responsibility, whether it is justice because the companies are taking the service of the individuals in which it is having its business, or it is just a charity. So that is a contrast. Even the common but differentiated responsibilities. Is it the charity done by the developed nations towards us? Or is it what we, the people of the global south, need as a measure of redistributive justice? So these contrasts also you have to show. Then also there is in Indian philosophy, justice is called as dharma. And this dharma cannot be just one sided, where we talk of welfare measures from the state, etc. Because this dharma is an over encompassing term. Here it would also include charity. And then you can give lots of examples from Indian philosophy. In conclusion, it should, as obvious, we should demand an interplay between both justice as a long term objective and charity to complement the role of the state, to complement the role of constitutions by the humans, by the active members of the society. But what should also be highlighted in the conclusion is that both the conceptions of justice and charity should be based on empathy, not sympathy, dignity, and here you can also bring Immanuel Kant, where you can quote, maybe in this lifetime we may have been born as a poor man or a rich man, but in the next birth, or we could become poor or rich in some time. So in that perspective, what we need is that our actions should have universality. That means what we want to be done to ourselves, we should do to others. And that's here what even we can bring the roles, because his principles of justice were decided behind the veil of ignorance. You can bring the Indian conception of Vasudev Kutumbakam, where we see the entire world as one, because when we see the entire world as one, the principles of justice and charity go hand in hand and not opposing to each other. Or sustainable development, that means we have to do justice and charity not to the people in this generation, but the generations which will come behind us. So this topic uh, on the whole was a little more on contrast, which we will be highlighting, because the more in depth the contrasts you show, the more newer perspectives you bring, maybe regarding the ill effects of charity, the ill effects of charity and how charity is seen, how charity is done, and that a newer perspective of charity has also need to be formed. And then how charity and justice should go hand in hand. They are the two wheels of a chariot which have to move on its own for the society's growth. So all these perspectives you have to include. You can bring more examples also. You should comment down which examples you will include, and that is this. So I hope it helped you, and we will come with a newer topic